Hey guys, what's going on? So today I'm going to be showing you the best way to level up your crafting skill lines in the Elder Scrolls Online. So there is an expensive, faster way that you can level up your skill lines, and there's also a slightly slower, cheaper way you can do it. So I'm just going to look at both of those, and then you guys can choose what one you want to do. So the main reason that people want to level up their skill lines in the first place is that because to use certain outfits and certain styles to make your character look nice, you have to have certain levels in crafting so as you can actually unlock them and use the motifs. So you can see here, for example, that the blue books only require level 1, but the purple book down here requires level 8, so you would have to level up all the way to level 8 to get yourself these motifs. Another big reason why people level up their crafting skill lines is so they can do their daily rates. So daily rates is probably one of the best ways to make money every day in the game, so you can get both gold rewards here, like temper alloys and wax and stuff. You also have the chance to get yourself motifs, recipes, and other things such as the little blacksmithing writs. And these can go for quite a lot of money. For example, it's about 500 gold per writ. So if you got on with 100 writs, you'd end up making about 50k from that. So very briefly, if you guys don't know how to actually complete your daily crafting race, what you want to do is you go to a little notice board here in any major town really. There'll be like a little blue arrow above it. You just collect all your writs there. You just collect all your little tasks there, and then what you want to do is just complete whatever it tells you to do. So for example, it says make 3 platinum rings, so make 3 platinum rings. And then after you've completed all the little missions, what you want to do is just take those to a little crafter place where you can hand them all in and you'll get your reward boxes. And that's what's going to contain all the nice items. So we're going to look at the faster and more expensive methods of leveling up your craft lines first, because this is sort of what most people want to do. So the best way to level up your crafting lines for blacksmithing, clothing, woodworking, and jewelry crafting is to just simply destroy intricate gear until you hit level 50. You can start at level 1 and start destroying CP 160 intricate gear, and you'll get a lot of XP for it. Basically how you want to get this is you want to go to guild traders and you just want to rummage around. Usually I put a max price of 500 coins in when I'm looking for a piece of intricate gear, but you guys can pay more if you feel like it. And the same thing for jewelry crafting, so you want to go in there and you want to sort of just try and buy a lot of jewelry, but usually I pay about 2k max for my intricate jewelry as well. So you can actually filter this in the guild store, so all you have to do is go over to the guild store, check on like maybe apparel for armor, and then you go down to intricate. And then you can just select what max price is. So I'm going to put in 500 coins because that's how much I want to pay. I don't want to pay any more than that or else it's kind of not worth it. So essentially, yeah, you just go through all the little guilds. I usually go to a bank and just go through the first 5 guilds there and then move on to other guild traders around the place. Just do that, gather up all your intricates, do the same thing for jewelry. So for jewelry, you just exactly the same except we change from appearance over to, you know, jewelry. And you do the same thing for weapons. So for enchanting, provisioning, and alchemy, what you want to do is basically destroy CP 160 purple glyphs. And for alchemy, what you want to do is make sure you're buying the best solvents for each level. So if you're doing the cheaper method later on, you can pretty much just use 1 or 2 solvents and you're fine. But if you want to do it the fastest way, you want to make sure you're buying the solvents for every single level. For provisioning, basically you just want to make sure that you have enough ingredients. It's not really an expensive way to do provisioning or a cheap way. Essentially it's the same in the expensive and the non-expensive method. It will be the fastest way if you just sort of use the same recipes. Although for the more expensive method, basically what you want to do is just have more ingredients so you can buy every single recipe as you level up. Whereas in the cheaper one, you can just sort of use the same recipes a little bit. Also, a very useful tip for leveling up the fastest is to use your XP potions or scrolls. So you can get up to an extra 150% XP from using a potion or a scroll. So this is obviously really, really good because you're getting like more than double the XP. So for enchanting, basically you want to make sure you're getting the best tier 10 little potency runes. So you want to try and get Rapora, because those are the CP 160, but if you don't feel like spending that much money because they're usually a little bit more expensive, you can buy other ones like Jihadi, and they'll be CP 150. For your aspect runes, for the expensive method, you're going to want to use the purple ones. So the purple ones are usually about 500 gold each, but you can find that quite a bulk of them for a lot cheaper if you just sort of look around enough stores. And you want to also just grab some essence runes. So you want to just buy some cheap essence runes. It really does not matter at all. So basically, once you've bought these, all you want to do is just basically go on to a different alt if you already have a character at max enchanting, and you just want to make all these little glyphs on that character and throw them in your bank or the guild bank or into a little box in your house, and then switch character to the one you want to level up and deconstruct there. And also, if you haven't got a character leveled in, this is your first time leveling, just ask in a guild or ask a friend who is leveled up and just ask them to make the glyphs for you. So for alchemy, basically what you want to do is you want to go in and buy a poison solvent or a potion solvent. So you want to make sure you have one for every 10 levels. So you'll see some say for level 10, level 20, level 30, level 40 and so on. So you want to make sure you have enough of those for each level so as you can just get the max XP at each level from making the poisons or potions. So I would recommend, if you can, to get the poisons because they are going to be the cheaper ones, but they're still going to do the exact same XP as the potions. And the potion ones, if you can't get the poison ones, just so you hit every single XP thing. So you can hit, so say you're going from level 20 to level 30 and there's some level 30 poison ones, just grab the potion ones because it's going to get you the best XP. Also, reagents don't matter at all, you can just buy any two, so I just recommend buying the two cheapest ones even for the expensive method because it doesn't make a difference at all. Just two to mix and yeah, and that's all you need to do. So when it comes to provisioning, where I go is I like to go to Gratwood because there is a chef right beside a cooking fire. So basically every single time you level up, you can go talk to the chef and he'll have a new recipe for you that you can use. So it's quite good if you can sort of have another character there so you know exactly what recipes you're going to be making and what ingredients you're going to need. But if you don't know, essentially you can just run really quickly to the stores in Elden Ring anyway because they're quite nearby the guild traders. And you can just buy the materials there and just pop back up to your little cooking fire. So essentially every time you level up, he's going to have a new recipe, so just buy that recipe, start cooking that, and that's just the best way to get XP here, and make sure you've drank your XP potion. So now we're going to look at the slower and cheaper methods. So you can save a lot of money doing it this way, you're just going to sort of take a lot longer to level up your skill lines. So the best way to level up your blacksmithing, clothing, woodworking and jewelry crafting in the cheaper method is to just destroy any non-valuable gear from your guild banks. You also want to buy cheap CP 150 gear from guild traders, and I'd recommend that you sort of buy anything that's under 200 gold, and you can lower this if you want to be quite cheap about it. And any jewelry under 500 gold because it is quite difficult to find jewelry for that cheap, to be honest. So any lower than that, you're probably going to have a hard time finding any. So you can see here in the guild bank, we're just going through and there's quite a lot of sort of junk items in here and just like intricate stuff in there for people to use. So you just want to go into your guild banks, lift out any intricates, any sort of armor you know isn't expensive or isn't really useful to anyone, and you just deconstruct that, and that's the cheapest way to do it. So basically, most times, most guilds aren't going to be too fussy about you taking out intricates or little bits of armor like they're scraps because they've been put in there for free, and most people just take them out again for free to help the guild. But it's always nice to leave a little tip for some gold if you take stuff out. So for your enchanting, your proficient and your alchemy on the cheaper method, what you're going to want to do is just destroy CP 150 white glyphs or blue glyphs, because the white to blue little aspect runes are really quite cheap. You can pretty much get a stack of blue for maybe 10k, so it's not that expensive at all. For your alchemy, you want to use the cheaper solvent, so maybe you're not bothered buying for every single level increment, so 10, 20, 30, you can't be bothered doing that, so you just do level 10, then maybe do level 40, and then maybe do level 60. And you only do those if you can get the little poisons or potion things cheap. And for the cheaper version of provision, I would just recommend just looking at what the ingredients are for each recipe. So you still want to go to Gratwood, you still want to use the same chef, and you still want to use all his recipes when you level up. So for example, if you get small game, those are quite expensive, so what you want to do is you want to just sort of skip over those and just use the recipe that you were using before up until the next time you level up, and then see if that next recipe is cheap as well. So I still recommend using the XP potions for the cheaper method, because if you don't, you're going to have to use over double the materials for each skill line, and that's just going to not really be worth it when you could spend quite a small amount of money really and have a 30-minute to an hour buff. So where I personally go to do all my deconstructing and just generally my daily rates is Fardenfell, because I feel like this is the best crafting area right now in the game. So the reason this is so good is because there's a bank right here, and it's right in the middle of all the little crafting tables. So it's very easy to get all the crafting tables and deconstruct your stuff and then get back to the bank to grab more stuff out of it. And it also, because it's an actual bank and not just your banker, it means that you can have access to guild banks. So for example, if you have your own guild made just for leveling, you can have 500 items in there. And if you're in a guild who, you know, people aren't just going to take stuff out if you put it in, you can just put in, like, say, a lot of glyphs and switch character and just take them all back out whenever you're ready on the alt and deconstruct them and just keep taking them out of the guild bank. I'm also going to do a little run around here so you can see that all the tables are quite close together, they're not too spread out, so So you got your blacksmithing station here, your clothing station here, and that's where you can get your reds on the right there on the notice board. You got your woodworking table, and then you come over here, you've got your little provisioning fire there. You have your little enchanting table, you've got your little jewelry crafting table and little alchemy table, and then right up here is the bank again. So this is a very, very useful place to go for leveling up. So whenever you've actually finally created all your glyphs and all your items, what you want to do is just go and deconstruct them here. So you just run around to each table and deconstruct them. So a lot of the time you're going to get materials back, so you're not going to get all of them back obviously, but for example if you were a bit hesitant about doing some of the more expensive methods, especially for stuff like enchanting and jewelry crafting, you're going to get a lot of materials back, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But for other things such as alchemy and your blacksmithing and your woodworking and stuff, that's always pretty much going to be a straight loss, because your alchemy things aren't really going to sell very well because someone wants a level 10 poison really. And blacksmith and stuff, you're just generally deconstructing it, and it's just going to turn really into rubidite ore, which isn't very expensive. So I have another tip, and it's mainly for jewelry crafting, but you can use it for literally the blacksmithing and stuff like that in the clothing, and it works pretty much the same. So what you want to do is basically just grab a lot of platinum for quite cheap, and just go on to an alt account who has already level 50 in jewelry crafting, and just make a lot of platinum rings and just put them in the bank and then deconstruct them on your alt. And it's going to take a little bit longer, but it's going to be a lot cheaper than if you were buying intricate jewelry for 2k each. And you can also have a friend make these for you if you're not already level 50 on any of your characters. And then same thing applies for blacksmithing and clothing, just hand out your friend or your alt. So just get yourself some rubidite ore or get yourself some rubido leather and just make some CP 150 armor. And just throw it in the bank, change to your alt and deconstruct it, and it's going to be a lot slower, but it's going to be really cheap. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, remember to leave a like on it, maybe subscribe to my channel for some more videos like